Well, so we have to look at what the discussions are about. My guest this morning, Inusa Fuseni. Just this morning, I spelled his name wrongly. I was wondering, I said, what was I looking at? The alphabets on the computer, were they wrong? No, I was wrong. Inusa Fuseni is a member of parliament. I need to mention that first. It's always because he's contesting the primary of the NDC. It's supposed to take place on November 7, I believe. Yeah. And he's a member of parliament for Tamale Central. But currently, he's also the Minister for Roads and Highways. Thank you. Thanks for joining me. Thank you. You look very simple.
Yeah.
You're a simple man.
Simple man, yeah.
He's also been joined by a very affable but another simple man, Osei Bunsuama. Somebody whose name I also got wrong while typing. It just that I want to make sure I synchronize the spelling mistakes. And he is a member of parliament for Ikuapem South. Yeah. But also a former minister deputy for sports, as well as he was in education, or was a combined ministry?
It was a combined ministry, yes.
Right. Thanks for joining me, the two of you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
I'm very much privileged to have them because the two of them are also legal practitioners, and they put a lot of perspective as far as their debates on the various issues we're supposed to look at. And today, we're starting with the subject of the Electoral Commission and its own responses following the meeting of the Interparty Advisory Committee, IPAC, yesterday, or for many of you who are watching us in another sphere of the world, that is on Wednesday, on concerns that have been raised by foremostly the MPP concerning the voters register, that it's bloated, has the names of aliens as well as those who are not supposed to be there. And I have to start with you. I have to start because you were there yesterday, I believe. Yeah. Okay, I start with your comment. If you look at the genesis of it, the meeting, what transpired, and what the comments foremostly of the EC is.
Well, good morning, Roland.
Morning.
To our choice viewers and to my good friend, the Honorable Minister. He is going for Prime Minister, as you said. And I understand they need an expert to look at their register. They may go for exhibition because all over the place what I hear is that they think their register is bloated. That was very interesting. I met one MP who said he has about 20,000 who will be voting.
And how was that possible? He was asking, I'm sure.
All of them have registered as members of the party in the constituency, and they're going to vote. I also met another MP, very small area. He said so far they've counted 12,000 who have registered. So it's getting interesting, and as I said, they are going to do exhibition to find out whether all those are members of the party or some have come.
They're going to do that?
Yes. Okay. Yes. So wish them well. Except that I also hear probably the 7th November will even be a problem. They may not be able to do it on 7th November. It may go beyond 7th November. That will be a crisis for them because in November, when the budget is presented, we spend all the time up to Christmas to look at the budget. Why is there home palaver? Let's see how they address it.
They have to deal with it.
Good morning again. Yes, the Electoral Commission. Yesterday was our PAC meeting, and I believe it was proper because it was just after the deadline of 22nd September for parties and groups to also submit their ideas on the way forward for the voters register. And if you remember, all this was triggered by the MPP submission that we thought there was something wrong with the voters register. And indeed, from discussions and from other opinions you hear, it appears about 90% or more appear to agree that there's a problem with the register. Probably how it should be handled is where there are divergent views.
And your opinion is we need a new register?
Yes, for the MPP, we think we should start all over again. For others, they think that we should audit the register. Now, sometimes you hear people saying that, why a new register, or why do you always want to do a new register? I have been part of this process for a long time, and I can tell you in authority that even though the EC agreed that you should have biometric registration and verification, the EC right from the beginning was reluctant in this whole process. We all know.
Is it from the posture that you assume?
No,
because you can't make those conclusions.
They made open pronouncements, including the then chairman. At the end of the day, it was agreed. But the major problem was that it wasn't done well. It was poorly done. And as we speak, you don't know whether it's those who were contracted to do it or the EC and its personnel. Why am I saying this? There was a company which was contracted to supply equipment, including the biometric verification devices. But that is where they stopped short. Every activity towards the registration and the elections was conducted by the EC staff, some of them non-permanent staff. So, more or less, garbage in, garbage out. One, if you don't bring the right people to be trained. Two, if your trading is shoddy. Three, you get this kind of stuff. Now, as we speak, let's take the simple ones. Somebody picks his voter ID card, goes to the bank as his identity card for any transaction. The bank keys in what has been supplied, and the information doesn't tally, to the extent that the number on the voter ID card is different from the number in the voters register. And they go to the EC corrects these numbers. So how many of these do we have in the system? I have some on my tablet that I can show you. Now, yesterday, another MP was even telling me a very bizarre situation. There's one lady where you can see the picture and everything, but two different identities. And the recent district assembly elections.
You're talking about the same picture on two different cards.
The same picture on two different cards with different data. To the extent that she was able to vote.
All happened here.
All happened in Ghana. The MP is ready to come with the data and everything to show. Just this is the assembly elections.
To the extent that the person was able to vote?
So the person was able to vote, and they wanted to try to see whether she could vote again with the new identity. The system went through. So even this business of nobody can vote twice,
no, but we're assuming there are a number of barriers for you voting twice. For example, we have the marker, and if you do it the same day, there's no way. If your fingers are inspected adequately, you can.
It's not even the marker. Ideally, if the system was working, once you voted and it's biometric, the system should not give you opportunity again. So if the system is able to give you opportunity again, then there's something wrong.
You're talking about fingerprints?
Yes. The biometric fingerprints. It's not facial, fingerprints. And once it's captured once,
it shouldn't repeat itself.
Anywhere. But if that's not the case,
so you're saying these are the flaws in the system?
We're saying that these are the flaws in the system. We rushed in doing it. We didn't do it well. After all, even the manual registration, we had to take a lot of time to perfect it. So if we started biometric and there are problems, let's find a way of perfecting it. And if doing the whole thing again will help, why not?
What's the posture of the EC when you went to the meeting?
Yesterday, as I said, we met, but there was a whole agenda. We talked about electoral reforms, and they had set up a committee involving the parties. So they briefed us on how far they've gone with the electoral submissions on electoral reforms. Some of them will have to come to Parliament for new laws, etc. And then we spoke about continuous registration. We want to bring it back, but we insisted that there should be guidelines to make sure that the guidelines conform with the electoral laws and the Constitution, so that we don't just say continuous registration and then we do it in a vacuum. Then of course they briefed us on the district level elections, and then came to voter register. And I believe after the meeting, your people on the ground spoke to the EC chair. She says she's received about 30 submissions.
30?
30.
Not all from political parties?
Not all from political parties. About 50% from political parties.
Wow.
And the rest from civil society organizations and individuals. Some voluminous, some just 1 or 2 pages. And that they need to also scrutinize whatever has been brought, identify the issues, first we'll bring in experts to flesh out all the issues, and then we hold a stakeholders meeting this month, October, and then we'll see the way forward.
Your preliminary comments and what really, now that as a party you've gone through the process of this very meeting with the EC, what now your position is? Because we've been hearing comments from the chairman of your party.
Thank you, Roland, and good morning. And good morning to our senior Obiamwa, and good morning to your listeners. I think that it's proper for me to respond briefly to what the NDC is doing, because my senior took liberty to comment on what we're doing as a party. Our party is deepening democracy in the country, is opening the frontiers for participation, and it is bringing the determination of leadership of the party to the doorstep of the ordinary voter. It's not limiting it to people who have been executives and delegates. So now the frontiers of democracy is being expanded, and leadership will be determined by the general masses of the people, and that's what we're doing. And like every register, the credibility of the register is important. The integrity of every election is secured by a credible register, and so that is why after the compilation of the register, we have to exhibit same, so that contestants...
So you're saying it's nothing new?
It's nothing new. I mean, every election...
So it's not as if there's fire in your camp?
There's nothing.
Okay.
It's every election anywhere.
And that's your work, political communication. You're supposed to tone down whatever content his speeches.
Well, that's why I want to tone down the content and assure him that we're just doing what is proper and fitting in the circumstances to create that needed confidence and trust in the electoral system and the voters register for the contestants and the party, so that when at the end of the day the results emerge, everybody who has contested will accept the results as emanating from a properly compiled voters register.
That's okay. It was supposed to be brief. Now let's go on.
Well, so so just like the NDC's register, so is the...
Just like your register has problems.
No, just like an NDC register which has to be exhibited, cleaned, and ensure that it attracts the credibility of voters of the NDC flock. So is the National Register. I agree with Honorable Obiamwa to the extent that any register needs constant appraisal, needs constant evaluation. Why? People die every day. Voters die. So you need to always purge the register. You need to clean the voters register. Yes, we are aware of minors registering, and by law, minors are not supposed to vote in this country. Parties have been guilty of this offense. The names are still on the voters register. So if MPP goes to say that, look, we have examined the voters register and we've come to the conclusion that the percentage of people who otherwise are not entitled to vote are on the register, and we need to purge the register of those people, that would be a legitimate point.
That's your position.
But if MPP goes to say that they have found 8,000 Togolese on the...
Nearly 80,000.
80,000 Togolese on a Ghanaian register, then it begs the question.
That's just a fraction of what they have seen.
It begs the question. Because when we went biometric, and let me state here, that biometric registration was the baby of the MPP. They suggested the country going biometric because they believed that the manual register was susceptible to abuses.
You can't be fair to the... You're not being fair to the...
They even organized...
They may have proposed it, but...
you know, they have always proposed...
There was a consensus reached by all the political...
Roland, they have always proposed electoral reforms. And there is a credit to them. So you can't approbate and reprobate. So, so we went biometric. And everybody, for the first time in this country, there is no single electorate who in 2012 could boast that he voted twice.
Are you sure?
Yes. Very, very sure. In fact, there were people who were otherwise qualified to vote but who could not vote because their fingerprints were not identified in this country. And we have all been members of parliament for some time now. And we know what used to prevail in the past. We know. And so if you come and say that in your mind, or in your opinion, we need a new voters register, then the question is, what guarantees are there that the reasons for advocating for a new register will not manifest themselves in the compilation of that new register.
But the guarantees are that you make sure you put in the guarantees that they don't reoccur.
Oh, so the guarantees are that
so that's why you open it fresh and make sure that you put in the bottlenecks and the barriers.
Repeating mistakes has never been considered as experience.
Then which one has been?
Doing the right thing has always been considered an experience. But if you repeat mistakes, you're not experienced. You can repeat mistakes for 100 years. That doesn't give you experience for 100 years.
What if we have hindsight?
So for a register, first of all, and by law, look at the fallacy of the MPP's argument. The law in Ghana, and he's my senior at law, the law in Ghana frowns upon the person voting twice within the jurisdiction of Ghana. That's the law. So Roland, you can't vote twice anywhere. But the law in Ghana does not frown upon Roland voting in England and voting in Ghana.
Are you making reference to...
There is no law.
The names have been found in the Togo register reserved.
I'm just stating the position of the law in Ghana. I'm just stating the position. And so, by logical argument and extension, if you go and abuse evidence of what you consider as 80,000 Togolese on a Ghanaian register, what offense has been created? What offense? Because they could be Ghanaians as well as Togolese.
Is it not?
Now, the second argument.
Sure.
Ghana compiled its voters register 1 clear year before Togo compiled its voters register. Why isn't that
why is it not the reverse?
Why is it not the reverse that Ghanaians have been found on the Togolese register? Why is it not the reverse?
Okay. For your first argument,
okay, that's okay.
I see you want to advance your point. You don't want to be asked questions.
Okay, go.
But for your first argument, is it not to furtherance that very point where, well, even though in the absence of any legislation that would debar people from having their names in 2 registers in 2 respective countries, people don't tend to abuse that, where you're likely to have citizenry on borderlines of each territory transcending into the next territory to register, and likely being aided by political state actors or political actors, and as a result of that getting mileage within an election period in the respective country. That is why we need to make sure the right thing is done.
But Roland,
it's not necessarily about law, about who has to be there or who has not to be there.
That's the law, okay?
It's all about abuse.
Let's come to institutional arrangements put in place through the collective determination of all the political parties to secure the integrity.
Which are what? Stated in law?
Stated in law.
Okay, so you tell me.
The party agents.
1.
The determination of where the election must take place.
2.
The exhibition of the voters register.
3.
Are all institutional mechanisms.
Okay.
Designed.
And the 4th is if you find a name, you make sure you go through the processes.
And remove it. There's a committee.
Okay.
So there are institutional mechanisms right within the domain of political parties to ensure that this thing never happens. Now, to try to fix the blame on the doorsteps of the EC is to be disingenuous.
Okay. I think I would have wanted
let me say the final thing. I mean, he's given example of somebody who can vote twice using a biometric. Yes, it's possible. Why? Because the system is not networked. The system is limited to territory.
So you're saying in 1 territory you can vote twice.
So
but he's talking about 1 territory somebody voting twice.
No, so he made a general comment.
No, because of the wrong input of data.
No, he made a general comment.
You make wrong input of data.
I want to state, that can be confusing. See, for instance, if you are from Tamale, and you vote in Tamale, and you don't have your finger dipped.
Why would you not have?
Yes, there are
assumptions. Or you clean it.
Or you clean it. This
is possible.
So now, and then you come to Accra, and you have a voter register. There's nothing that will stop you from voting.
True.
Right.
I agree. I've covered many elections.
He has answered my question for me.
Himself, yeah.
It's a fallacy. Because if you have gone biometric, nowhere should you be able to register or vote more than once.
Because it's supposed to be a protectionist mechanism.
Nowhere. That is what the EC told us.
Not your point. Okay. Not your point. Relax.
Nowhere. Indeed, during the registration, we, the parties, we were told that the system will clean itself. They will be able to identify those who had registered more than once. Nothing happened. Nobody told us anything. It was only after elections, during the limited registration in 2014, that they called the parties that we have identified 72,000 who have done multiple registration. These are the facts. Come and verify it. That's number one. As to whether somebody registers at Enchi and comes registered in Eburi, we are talking about exhibition.
So you're saying that for the 72,000, those people could have manipulated the system in 2012?
Yes.
Because you were not told?
Yes, because we were not involved.
You were not, okay, no, it's not
you two were not involved. NDC was not involved. No party was involved. They were doing their own thing. They were doing we were asking for deduplication. How do you remove those who have registered more than once? They didn't give us any answer. EC didn't give us any answer. EC is our direct client. It's not whoever you go and bring. EC has been paid to do their work. If they bring intermediaries and they do their work well, I can't go to the intermediaries. I come to you. And EC didn't give us any opportunity to even see whether somebody has registered more than once. And now you are talking about exhibition purging it. How can exhibition purge it? If somebody registers at AG, comes to register at Eburi, we open the register. I go to Eburi, I find his name there. Apart from finding his name there, where is the mechanism for me to know that he's registered more than once? It's only at the database, which is not available to me.
But that's why an IT consultant has been recruited.
Well, that's what he's talking about, the intermediary. If the IT consultant supposedly conducts an error, you don't go to the IT consultant, you go to the electoral.
But Roland, again, you see the fallacy of his argument.
No, let me conclude.
I said, note your point.
This is the fallacy. So, that whole argument about is constituency specific falls flat, because that is not what we asked for. Otherwise, they would have done the manual. You are saying that...
But you all accepted and you use it for the process.
Yes.
It's not as if that maybe the NDC were also in conformity as far as that is concerned.
You accept the process. After the fact, after the deed, you come to know that there are problems with it. Are you not entitled to raise those problems?
But
we all went for the election.
But going by your argument, if you know there are flaws, does it mean that does it warrant then for a whole new thing to be done?
That is our opinion. Okay. That's our opinion. That's number one. The arguments he put, this is number one. The answer to it is the fact that we don't have access to the database. So multiple registration, multiple voting can occur.
Okay.
Indeed, for the first time in the history of this country, indeed, we had a sitting president pleading with the EC that they should extend the time for voting to the next day because some people could not be verified or could not vote. In this country, the sitting president, John Mahama, issued a statement more or less, and the EC complied. But the first time.
Yeah, but that's not wrong. It was in the midst of an emergency.
You were saying
we were all reporting at the time,
and it was the most perfect system. That nobody ever complained. I'm drawing attention to the fact that this was the worst system.
I didn't say perfect. I said that for the first time, no person can claim that he voted twice, as far as my constituency is concerned.
Because they were barriers.
They were. I mean, I just told you of glitches to the people voting. So how could the system be perfect?
In some places, when people could not be verified and they were turned away. In some places, people were allowed to vote when even they could not be verified.
So that's the imperfect system.
Yes, and it's skewed. If you continue this way, come 2016, who will be turned away if you cannot be verified? Now, no, there's another major issue. Are we doing ROPA? If you are not doing ROPA, we were in this country when people wanted to register at Odu, and they were told that they were not ordinarily resident there. There was so much confusion. Remember that thing? That these are traders who come from their houses to come and
you're making this a reference to?
You reference the fact that those so-called 80,000 Togolese, are they ordinary resident in Ghana or they are in Togo? Or did the EC register them because they are ordinary resident, or did the EC do ROPA, which has not been implemented?
But do you... No, it's okay. It's okay. But do you agree in the border towns, because I'm very much familiar with some of the border towns, there are people who almost like reside in the border towns. And so, for example, you take, let's say, a place like Denu, and then you take, like, let's say, Ashigame in Togo, and people can commute there within a 20-minute drive. They have houses here, they have houses there. They have family homes there, they have family homes here.
At the end of the day, we didn't agree. We haven't even agreed on who is ordinary resident. So the person coming from Togo to come and register in Ghana, what address did he use?
Yes,
does he stay in Ghana or does he stay in
Where
Togo?
do you live? Which area do you live?
Where do I live?
Yes.
In Accra here.
Yes.
Domi?
Okay, you live in Domi.
Yes.
But would you be considered a resident in your constituency where you stand as MP?
And I also hail from there. So I qualify.
Well, I do understand that. So what if a Togolese hails from Denu?
He hails from Denu and is resident where?
He's resident in both areas.
It's not.
He's resident in Togo.
Okay, let's say he's resident in Togo. Because you are not resident in your constituency.
No, the question you asked
Yes,
me,
sir.
the question you asked me,
Yes, sir.
I added hail from because I'm an MP. Indeed, if you are resident, you don't need to hail from there.
Yeah, sure, I do understand.
Yes. The question you asked me, I gave you two answers.
We're talking about voting. We're not talking about you qualifying to be standing as MP
yes.
or not.
You
We're talking about, because you vote in your constituency.
Yes,
that's what I'm asking you basically as a voter. So not MP matter.
Yes. That's why I'm saying that if you're saying that somebody came from Togo to come and register in Ghana and is entitled to register in those large volumes,
I'm not saying I am not the one.
Where are the ordinary residents? Where are the ordinary residents? That question should be answered. Otherwise, then he's free for all.
Otherwise, everybody can just
and then,
do a to and fro.
Meanwhile, ROPA has been on our books since 2006. You kicked against it. It's not been implemented.
But if you're talking about ROPA, it's not in the same sense as ROPA, is it? They are two distinct. We're not saying that, for example, there are not Togolese in northern Togo who come and register in Ghana. We're talking about those around Lomé, those border areas that tend to transcend between the borders.
Close to 800,000 people.
Now we're told there are 2 million people in Togo. It's okay. It's okay. Please conclude your argument.
Listen, we were in this country when the EC said that Ghanaians abroad, when they were asked about the register, they said they had registered Ghanaians abroad to the tune of 241,000.
Sure.
That's how come the register had jumped from 13.5 to almost 14 million. Now in court, bring the 241,000 that you registered outside Ghana. They bought only 700, and these are still on the books in the. These are still on our electoral register. And you think we can keep quiet and stay for these things to be there without us finding a way of starting all over again and verifying everything?
Okay, it's okay. But as you, from his last point, for example, I would say if 250 or 41,000 and 700 sheets were brought of those who had registered, they're very easy for you to verify.
Very easy.
So you just take it out. You do manual surprise.
First of all,
who
verifies it?
The EC is saying an independent body.
Yes,
so an independent body will do that.
And then
you are the person.
But you see, again, Roland, you asked a very important question.
I did.
Yes, very important. You see, in resident matters, in nationality matters, residence and hailing from are two different things.
Yes.
Are two different.
He do understand.
Yes. Sometimes
he does understand all.
Ordinary balance, you can say permanently resident and ordinarily resident.
Yes.
And they have different rights and responsibilities. So you can be ordinarily resident in Togo, but permanently resident in Ghana.
Or vice versa. And you are saying either way you qualify to vote?
You qualify. If the laws in Togo allows an ordinarily resident person to vote there, he qualifies to vote. Now, but my issue is Ghana compiled the voters register 1 clear year before Togo. Now, you are saying that Ghana will register Togolese, not the other way around. Because we compiled our register and
it doesn't change anything.
It changes a lot of things.
I mean, you look at the person was not qualified and he came to register.
Now, so until Togo conducted their registration, there was no way you could have compared.
Well, you could have footed or passed or even go and coerce people to come and register. Because you know that is a border area, so you abuse the system.
The basis of the comparison and the allegation.
Well, the basis and the comparison is the is the data they've been able to fish out
from the Togolese register.
Making comparisons, making comparisons with Ghana and Togo register. Don't forget to acknowledge that.
Mr. Logic is this: until the Togo register came into existence, there was nothing to compare the Ghana register with.
So if you have
That's
done,
what I'm saying.
if you have done,
But now you have hindsight.
And not
If you have
having-
hindsight,
and not
what's the
having-
problem?
if you have
evidence.
hindsight, is that an argument to say?
So that's the problem.
Then their argument cannot be authenticated,
that
and as a
argument-
result, we don't need a new voters register.
As the result, we don't need a new voters register.
So what do we need?
I particularly think that we should sit down, define what we need. All parties, and it's a wonderful.
and then the data we have now, what do we do with it?
So we look at the data, purge the data, clean the data, come out with a credible register acceptable to all parties, and that will be cost effective. That will still secure us an election that whose integrity can be vouched for, and that would also secure us the consensus that we want to.
Mr. Enusa, did you listen to your chairman yesterday?
I listened to.
Okay. What do you make of the content and the posture of his speech?
Well, he was.
It's almost like he was malleable to, accepting.
What he said was, look.
Because we all heard what he said. You cannot interpret what he said to us.
No. It's just basically saying that, look, we've gone to the inter-party committee meeting. The EC is in charge. They have said that this is what they are going to do. So let's give them opportunity to do it.
You should have educated your chairman to say the way you want to. but let's conclude on this very discussion.
Well, the most important thing
yes, as you say that, are we going to get a consensus? The most important thing, say that one.
The most important thing is that, one, we know we've given the EC a job to do. We know they are paid to do their job on behalf of the state. We have raised issues and questions they've not been able to answer. That one, yes.
But we haven't gotten to the point where they've been answered.
You have received petitions. They said they're going to do a forum.
No.
Now you have said they said you are giving us the content of the meeting yesterday.
These issues
30 petitions, they have answered all of them.
These issues and questions did not just arise out of what
it's
we
50,
sent.
yeah? Is it 50 or 30?
You don't invoke the jurisdiction of the EC by speaking on radio.
No.
No, that's not what we said.
So what answers do you want? The answers are in the
you won't
petition.
even listen to me, Minister. What I'm saying is that this didn't start from yesterday. At the election petition at the Supreme Court, some of these issues came up. EC could not answer.
Okay.
The fact that the Supreme Court ruled that no, you still cannot say that you won the election.
Being in the meeting yesterday.
500,000.
Being in the meeting yesterday,
half a million difference
between the meeting
presidential and the parliamentary. It's not be answered.
Being the
241,000.
Being the meeting yesterday.
It's not be answered. 1 million invalid quotes. That's what Jan told us in Parliament. It's not be answered, and they are the ones to answer. It's not for me to come and sit here and say he should answer.
Obi, being the meeting yesterday, do you think either side, and if we are saying from the posture of the NDC, they are willing to accept or varied ideas, would you also be willing to accept varied ideas?
Depending on the sincerity of all the parties.
You are given a condition.
Yes, depending on the sincerity
they
of the
are not
parties.
given a condition.
Whether we like it or not, Roland, whether we like it or not, it's the EC that is given a job. And if the EC is ready now to have an independent person to audit what they have done, we will sit back and...
Will you accept an independent body?
No, that is what we even want.
Okay.
Because EC is a player in this matter.
Thank you. An independent body will be good.
You see, we are stakeholders in this exercise. All political parties are stakeholders in this exercise. And I advocate that we use the stakeholders approach.
Which is?
The EC is a stakeholder. The MPP is a stakeholder, NDC is a stakeholder, CPP is a stakeholder, PNC is a stakeholder. Ghanaians are stakeholders in this thing. What do we need?
Yes.
We need a voters register that is credible and acceptable to all parties. Because we want a united Ghana. We want to protect the social cohesion and integrity of this country.
Yes.
We know that the basis of determining leadership in this country starts from an electoral register. So let's build consensus around what goals do we want. And then we can tackle the
What goals? We know the goals we want.
What goals do we want?
The register.
A credible register.
We all accept the register is not good.
So
that's
no. We don't accept that. The
no,
but you accept
it. No. We accept that
the your approach is that there should be audit.
The register has challenges. I'm not saying it's not good.
All right, we end the discussion. It's okay. It's okay. Let's look at this. I don't know whether can we tackle this in 4 minutes, 2 minutes each.
Okay.
Mahama received report on Eshraj Boss Lamte, so he's supposed to implement it. Is that
yes, he's obliged. That's what the Constitution says.
Okay.
I can quote the Constitution 149.
Yes, it says
He said the president is to follow the recommendations of the committee. Yes. He can't vary it.
Yes.
Yes.
So
that's what I'm saying. He's obliged. They send a report to him that these are the findings of the committee, and he's obliged.
He's obliged.
Yes, he cannot vary it.
I don't want
Article what?
1469 of the Constitution. But you see, when you say the president is obliged and put it in those terms, you cast the president in a robotic manner.
Of course.
But that's not the
Constitution is saying that
that was not the intendment of the Constitution.
Well, are you the Supreme Court to interpret the Constitution?
Oh yes,
because we are lawyers. On the face of it,
because we are lawyers, we are entitled to our views.
On the face of it.
Okay, so 1469, the president shall, in each case, act in accordance with the recommendation of the committee.
Yes.
So he has no choice.
Yes, in each case, act in accordance.
So the recommendations.
So the president has, because this,
he has no choice.
Yeah, no, listen to me. I mean, when you say he has no choice.
No, so if you were president,
we're not talking about choice now.
They bring the recommendations, you buy the recommendations.
Now.
It's supposed to be 2 minutes. The president has no choice.
What is happening now is that there are institutional procedures in determining what happens to heads of commissions. And the institutional procedure, the same thing that
it's been completed. Primary facie case was established. A committee was set up.
The president has
finished his work.
The process has not been exhausted.
Yes.
It's been sent back to the president.
It's now with the president. That's another institutional state.
Implement.
No. So the president will have to do what? Will have to look at the report and follow the recommendation.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I was saying.
So you will have to look at it. You need to understand the recommendation even before you implement.
But you
are saying that the president would need to implement it in the way he understands it.
He needs to understand that recommendation.
I'm asking, are you saying that the president will implement the report the way he understands it?
First of all, the president will have to study the recommendations before he implements. And act in accordance with the
I think that what you're saying is just semantics, really.
It's not semantics.
Seriously.
It's not, well...
You're a lawyer of 6 years standing. This all that you're saying is just semantics.
It's one line.
Journalists... 60 years. No, I'm not.
It's only one line.
He understands it.
Yeah, I know.
It's only one line.
Journalist Anas Aremia has been subjected to hours of intensive cross-examination by lawyers. That was... okay, so reporters before judges implicated in judicial scandal. Now he appeared before the committee, and now the affected judges are now saying they would need to see the person not veiled.
Of course,
yeah,
of course.
That is the way. That is the way.
So they need to see the person, and they can't even trust that the person appearing before them is really an ass. Veiled like that, so they need to see.
Well, first of all, with that one, they can't even make that claim. Why? Because they didn't even know Anas when he was recording them.
Yes, true.
Yeah, so they can't even make that. But you see, in law, the demeanor of a person, the facial impressions of a person, all count in determining the veracity of the evidence he is given. And so, the laws in Ghana do not admit of ghosts. I mean, somebody can not be talking behind a screen.
Or spirits.
Or spirits as evidence. So they can demand that they want to see. That will be a legal challenge that the committee will have to overcome. Well, but they can demand that they want to see an ass and cross-examine him.
Well, in this situation is just like the charge one. The matter will be heard in camera. The person who is made accusation will be called to substantiate it in camera. So I thought that when he appeared on the premises, he didn't want to be identified, so there were 3 of them. But when it comes to giving evidence,
definitely he will remove it.
Yes, in camera he will make his case, and they will cross-examine him, and then the panel will take a decision on it.
Will he be cross-examined in the presence of those who have been accused or affected, so to speak?
Of course, they will cross-examine him.
You say,
they are charging to lawyers in this matter.
So their counsels will do the cross-examination.
But that is where the issue is. First of all, Anas's
the way he does
his security has to be protected. And so, will it be conducive to expose him to a great number of people? Lawyers and judges. Yes, in camera, but there will be lawyers and judges and cockless and all that. In the
what do you think? What does the law say?
No. But the law, I think that my understanding of the law is that a person is entitled to cross-examine a person who makes allegations against him.
So you do it.
Veiled or not veiled?
Not veiled. No, not veiled.
Not veiled.
Yes, you have to see. I mean, you have to see each other face to face, eyeball to eyeball, And,
in camera.
camera.
I don't see any problem.
Well, so they have to.
Are you saying that whatever happens in camera remains in camera?
No.
Yeah, no. They'll bring their report. Yes,
because if you see somebody's face.
Just at the Shiraji one, they'll bring their report.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But if you see somebody's face and we know that he does covert journalistic activities.
No, but he knows the risk involved. Once you, this is not the first time Anas will even be giving evidence in court. Some of these cases and some of the people who have been he provided enough evidence.
Yes.
But I'm saying that if it's in camera, the accused, the accuser, counsel for both, and the judge. So at most 5 of them in camera discussing the matter.
Who implements the committee's report?
The
CJ?
The Chief Justice.
No,
Chief Justice.
Superior High Court, it takes the same process like the Shiraji.
No, that is if
but
the recommendation involves the removal, then there's a process.
Yes.
But if the recommendation is a punishment, then the Chief Justice.
Wherein the punishment can be
the punishment can be a demotion or
that is why that's why
we
Occupy Ghana has come in that there's a criminal aspect to it, and we should be careful we don't only dwell on the civil aspect and then leave the criminal part, because the AG and the police are supposed to jump into this and then if possible start criminal proceedings.
Well, the police here, they said they've started something.
Yes. So the first time I appeared here, I said that if prima facie evidence is...
You said the committee needs to put in play, blah, blah, blah. You appeared immediately after them.
There's a civil aspect, but the criminal aspect is where they have to show that they cannot be punished under the Criminal Offences Act.
But as legal practitioners, it can take years, right? Oh, no.
It can take years, but it should not take years.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed the conversation with you. You gentlemen seem like the perfect gentlemen, but the imperfect gentlemen at the same time.
They say we should be careful in endorsing. The more you endorse, the more you're in trouble. So I only wish him well.
Yeah, I also wish you well.
I met the majority that I said I was coming to campaign for you.
Okay. How many people are contesting you?
Oh, two people are contesting me.
Okay.
Yes.
They are all lawyers as well?
No.
Okay.
None is a lawyer.
All right. That gives you an advantage?
Well, I've been there. Incumbency gives me an advantage.
Or is it only lawyers who go to parliament? It's not only lawyers. So
no. When you have good friends like Roland, I mean,
it enhances your chances. It's not something. It's not something that's peculiar to Ghana.
Yes.
I mean, even where we have democracy emanating.
But Roland, can you believe that my people watching can say that, oh, this man who was sitting by Roland is the one we want to vote?
Okay, good.
I don't. It should be coming more often.
I don't know whether when I keep saying that I wish him well, that's an endorsement.
Anyway, this morning, all things being equal, we are holding a press conference.
Oh. What about?
On local government.
Hey, now you are doing your activity as an opposition. Especially as we are inching close to the electioneering.
We are swearing the people in there. We are constituting the district assemblies on the C4, so Tuesday.
All the issues.
Okay. All right.
Come on, join us.
You are invited.
All right. We'll come. We'll be there. In Parliament. In Parliament.
Yes, in Parliament.
Okay. My guest for this morning, Obi Amwa, a member of Parliament for Ipiapim South and a former minister for... Deputy Minister for Education and Sports. It was a combined ministry, so sometimes we get it confused. And Inusa Hussein is the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, going for primaries on November 7. But currently the Minister for Roads and Highways. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Roland.
I'll come for some contracts. I will hope that...